Okay, we're graphing today and we're going to do these certain problems and then you're going to copy this for notes. I'm going to write various things on here and I'm going to check for every single part that is written on here. If you have any questions on this, I'm going to go over this next class and we will have more practice next class, but I need to make sure that you are trying because I'm going to grade it. For the following problems, we're going to find the slope, the y-intercept, the graph, and the equation of the line using the information given. So, looking at the first problem, we're given a table. We're not given the slope or the y-intercept or the equation. So we're going to go manipulate it from there. In order to find our slope, we're going to use the slope equation. So we're going to label this as x1 and y1. And we're going to label the second point as x2, y2. If you don't remember what the slope equation is, it is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the next step is just simply to plug it in. So y2 is negative 9 minus negative 3. Why do I have 2 minus? It's because the equation in the middle always has a subtraction sign. So if you don't want to mess up, just put parentheses around it. Okay, so now x2 is 0. And we're going to subtract a negative 3. So in order to calculate this on your calculator, you're going to go to Calculate, you're going to press Control-T, and you're going to type negative 9, which is the white negative, minus, that's the black negative, negative 3, over 0 minus negative 3. You should get 2. If you didn't get 2, it's because you typed something wrong. So my slope for this is going to be, should be a negative 2. Your slope should be negative 2. Okay, next step is to find my y-intercept. So in order to find my y-intercept, I'm going to look when x is 0. Well, if we look at our table, we can see that x is 0 when y is equal to negative 3. So what I'm labeling, you're labeling too. So you're going to label this as your y-intercept. Okay, so my y-intercept is 0, comma, negative 3. So my y-intercept is negative 3. Okay, so now we need to make our equation. So the equation is based off of this famous one right here. Y equals mx plus b. So my m is always my slope. So I'm going to write y equals negative 2x. My y-intercept is negative 3. So I'm going to put minus 3. Okay. So that's my equation. So now in order to get my graph, I'm going to look at my y-intercept, which is negative 3. And I'm going to go down on my y-axis. I'm going to put a dot. My next step, I'm going to use my slope. My slope is negative 2. So that means I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 1. How do I know I go to the right one? Because if I don't see a number, I'm going to put a 1 underneath. I'm going to connect those dots. Bada bing, bada boom. We have a graph. Okay. Pause when you're done listening through this. Make sure you have everything copied down. When you're ready, press play. Okay, so this one's different. This one we're given a slope of 1 over 3 and a y-intercept of 5. So my equation again is give y equals mx plus b. So my slope replaces m. So I'm going to write y equals 1 over 3x plus my y-intercept, which is 5. So now we have our equation. So let's get to graphing. So I'm going to go to my y-axis and I'm going to plot a 5. Now my slope tells me that I'm going to go up 1 and go to the right 3. So from 5, I'm going to go up 1 to the right 3. And place a dot. And I can keep going if I want to. And I'm going to draw a line. Alright, so now we need to get these values on the left-hand side on the table. In order to do that, we're going to use our calculator. So what you're going to do is, on your calculator, you're going to go home, you're going to go to new document. Next step is going to graphs, and you're going to type in 1/3 x plus 5. You're going to press enter. Now it should look like the graph we just drew. If it doesn't, you did something wrong. Now, in order to get our table, you're going to press Control T. Alright, so I want to find out when x is -6. So you're going to keep going up, and you should see that when x is -6, you get a 3. If you have any issues on how to find that, ask your substitute. She knows what you're doing. Alright, now we're going to look when x is -3. So I'm going to go down. I should see a 3.333, then a 3.667, and when x is -3, my y is 4. Alright, next step. Now, instead of looking when x is a number, we're looking what x is. So we know that y is 5. So if you notice, the numbers are getting bigger as we're going down. So when x is -2, we get 4.333. We don't want that. We're going to keep going. And look, when x is 0, y is 5, which makes sense because this is also our y-intercept, which is what we labeled over there. So I'm going to label this again. We're going to label y-intercept. Okay, now let's keep going. Now I want to find when y is 6, and that is when x is 3, so I'm going to put a 3. And now I want to find when x is 6, and that's when y is 7. Alright, and we are done. Now let's move on to the next one, and then you get to begin your next worksheet. Okay, so this one was given a graph. We don't know what the slope is, we don't know what the y-intercept equation or any tables. So once we find our slope and y-intercept, then we can use our calculator to find the tables. So our y-intercept is where it hits the y-axis. So if you look at the graph right here, we can see that it hits it at 4. So my slope is going to be seen later on in the problem. So my y-intercept is a +4. Now, looking at the graph, it's going down. This is a negative slope, so I know my slope's going to be negative. Okay? And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pick 2 points. So I'm going to pick my y-intercept. That's 0, 4. And I'm also going to pick number -5, 8. Okay, so I'm going to label this as x1, y1, and x2, y2. So our slope formula, like we did before, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So when I plug that in, I'm going to put 4 minus 8 over 0 minus -5. So we're gonna put that in our calculator. So we're gonna go home, we're gonna go to new document. You don't want to save anything, so you're gonna press no, and you're gonna go to add calculator. Then you're gonna press Control Division, and you're gonna write 4 minus 8 over 0 minus -5. And we should get -4/5. So we're going to write -4/5 for my slope. So my equation again is y equals mx plus b. So y equals -4/5 x plus 4. So now I'm going to put that in the calculator. So I'm going to go back and press the home button. I'm going to go to new document, and I'm going to graph this. I don't want to save the previous example, so I'm going to go to no, and I'm going to click add graphs. I'm going to type in that. So you're going to use the white negative, so you're going to do negative, Control Division, 4 over 5, x plus 4, and you're going to press enter. Alright, so this graph looks a lot like ours, so we're in a good place. And now we're going to press Control T, and now we're going to plug in those values. So when it's -3, we get 6.4. When it's 0, we get 4. When it's 3, we get 1.6. When it's 5, we get 0. And when it's 6, we get -0.8. We want to know when x is 8. So keep going, we get -2.4. Now, this is my y-intercept, so I'm going to write y-intercept. But this one is my x-intercept. Makes sense because right here, it hits the x-axis. So that is when it's 5, 0. Alright, so make sure you have all this down, and then I'll move on to the last problem for notes. Okay, last problem. Woo! Alright, so now we don't have it in y equals now. Now they gave us the equation, but we need to solve it. So I'm going to write it underneath the word equation. So x minus 2y equals 8. So now we're going to get that y alone. How am I going to do that? I'm going to subtract x on both sides. Now, x's are canceled, and now I have a -2y equals -x plus 8. My y is not alone. I got a coefficient of -2, so I'm going to divide by -2 to everything. So my equation is y equals 1 over 2x. Where'd the 1 come from? Well, eventually, when you see the original x, we just had x minus 2y. What you can do is you can put a 1 in front. And now we have a -1 right here. So you're going to put 1/2 x minus 4. Why is it minus 4? Positive 8 divided by -2 is a -4. Now looking at my equation, my slope is a number in front of x. Slope is just simply 1/2. My y-intercept is the number in the end, so it's -4. So now I'm going to type it into my calculator. So now I'm going to go to New Document again. I don't want to save it. I'm going to press No. And you're going to go Add Graphs. And you're going to press Control Division 1/2 x minus 4. Make sure you use the black 4. The black negative. And press Enter. Alright. So now we're going to go to our table. So we're going to press Control T. So we're looking when x is -4. So when x is -4, we got -6. When x is -2, we get -5. When x is 0, you get -4. When x is 2, we get -3. Lastly, when x is 4, we're going to get -2. Alright, so now we're going to graph it. So looking at our equation, our y-intercept is -4. My slope is 1 over 2, so I'm going to go up 1, to the right 2, and I'm going to keep on, and we're good to go. Alright, so I will see you guys Monday or Tuesday, depends on when you're in my A day or B day, and I will check that you have this done, and then we will go over more practice next class. Alright, hope you're good with the sub. See you Monday or Tuesday.